What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Comic Island. My name is Joey, and this is part 2 to our Uncanny X-Men Volume 4, the complete story. Now, if you didn't know, this is when we're going to take an entire volume and compress it down as much as we can and throw them all back at you. Hopefully, this video will be under 10 minutes. Now, this is part 2 to the original video. If you haven't done so yet, I do recommend stopping the video right now. I'll have a link in the description below for part 1. This is basically when we follow Magneto collecting a bunch of former X-Men villains and a few X-Men themselves going out there and doing some really interesting things. But if you've seen part 1 already, then sit back, relax, and enjoy. After a short break from action, the Uncanny X-Men are on the move again. This time, Psylocke and Sabretooth are invited to the Hellfire Club, where they discover that Magneto and Monet are already there. But to their surprise, Magneto has forged an alliance with Black Tom Cassidy and Sebastian Shaw. Magneto has taken on the mantle of the White King, and Monet as his White Queen. Together, the X-Men and the Hellfire Club will take down the enemies of mutant kind. But Psylocke isn't convinced. She scolds Eric for throwing in with known villains who are only out for themselves. But the Hellfire Club has valuable intel pointing to another threat for mutant kind. The type of threat that must be eliminated. Hours later, off the Atlantic Ocean, Psylocke leads a team of Hellfire personnel and her X-Men to infiltrate a research station expected of weaponizing mutants. Her intel is correct. Weaponized mutants have locked on to attack her team. They could have made quick work out of the X-Men, but instead of finishing the job, the weaponized mutants vanish, leaving one of their own behind. Unbeknownst to Psylocke and her team, Mystique stowed away. While the X-Men depart with an unconscious weaponized mutant, Mystique, under the orders of Magneto, presses on. At the end of the proverbial tunnel, Mystique finds the man behind it all, longtime X-Men foe and former acolyte of Magneto, Exodus. Not long after, Magneto discovers the true mastermind from the unconscious sleeper mutant. He heads towards the research facility to confront his one-time follower, while Psylocke leads a team of X-Men and Hellfire Club agents to stop the weaponized mutants from slaughtering mutant protesters. Exodus welcomes his old master to the lab. He tells Magneto that he did all this for his leader, the man that groomed him to be the man he is today. Eric is disgusted by Exodus and his antics. The two engage while Psylocke's team arrives at the human mutant protest. The master of magnetism proves too strong for Exodus to handle, resulting in the awakening of the weaponized mutants. The hold has been severed. Their mind is theirs once again, and a former apprentice kneels to his master. Following these events, Psylocke has finally had enough of Magneto's secrets and lies. Having Phantom X and Mystique as a secret backup plan, she didn't join his crusade as partners with that many secrets held from her. She thought her goals aligned, but Psylocke now sees that Magneto is still the same man he has always been. Psylocke leaves the team, swearing that she will be there if the X-Men ever needed her. And if Magneto ever strays far from the righteous path, Psylocke will draw her sword, and she will strike him down. She will end him. Without a team, Psylocke is on her own. She could have joined Storm's X-Men team, but poor Aurora. She will never condone Psylocke's action. There is still work to do. With or without a team, Betsy Braddock will carry out her mission. She carries out her mission with swift justice. Omega Sentinels fall to her sword. The mutant Sauron falls to her psychic knife. Underground mutant growth hormone lab, a piece of cake. But then Magneto had to go and send his spy to follow Psylocke. Raven Darkholme reveals herself. She is unpredictable. Weaponized schizophrenia. Her constant shape-shifting makes it near impossible to psionically attack her, but her defenses are weakened. Psionic trauma from a previous battle has left her exposed. Psylocke found her opening and attacks with her telepathic abilities. She discovers that Mystique's personality is always changing, much like her form. Holding onto her persona as Raven is a constant struggle. This could drive anybody mad. Psylocke can see that her psyche is damaged. She begins the repairs. Betsy can stabilize her ego. She will forge new pathways to make her whole. When all is said and done, Mystique loses her bloodlust. Psylocke explains that her attacker is still the same repugnant piece of trash she has always been, but at least now, she is a bit more in control of her actions. Discovering that the Terrigen cloud circling the Earth was on the verge of dissipating into the atmosphere, rendering Earth uninhabitable for mutants, the X-Men decided to take decisive action against the Inhumans. Led by Emma Frost, the X-Men strategically neutralized Inhuman threats, preventing them from intervening with their plan to destroy the cloud. For Jean Grey, this meant psychically imprisoning perhaps the most dangerous Inhuman of all, Karnak. With the help of the Stepford sisters, Jean Grey keeps the Inhuman's mind locked away while his body is trapped in the world, an artificial world created by the Weapon X program. Meanwhile, the Royal Inhuman family, along with some of the Inhuman citizens, were incarcerated in limbo with key X-Men such as Sabretooth and Monet acting as their wardens. Back on New Adelan, Shen Zorn, Archangel, and Sebastian Shaw of the Hellfire Club watches over the Inhuman citizens. Zorn struggles with his part in this war. He was at peace in his temple high above the Himalayas. He thought himself as a shepherd for sheep who only wanted asylum from the cloud. Now, in the mind's eye of these Inhumans, he is a wolf ready to strike if anyone falls out of line. Shen Zorn is truly ashamed. After failing to quell an Inhuman riot, Zorn is ready to step down from his post. But then Sebastian Shaw arrives. You can see it in his malice-filled eyes. It gives him justification for cruelty and violence. Then there's the Archangel offering aerial support. The Inhumans never stood a chance. Zorn attempts to stop Shaw's bloodlust, but the Hellfire King will not listen. He punches Zorn square in the face. What he doesn't know is that Zorn has a star for a brain. Raw chaotic power pours out of the helmet that was designed to keep it contained. Sebastian Shaw took the blunt of the explosion, but he will survive. When the dust cloud clears, Zorn stands before 4 dead mutants caught in his energy torrent. He thought himself the shepherd. He sees now that he has never been so wrong. So, Shen Zorn leaves his post as warden. That job now rests solely on the Archangel. The war between the Inhumans and the X-Men ends with no one the victor. Psylocke reflects upon this pointless war that has caused so much grief. Families shattered. Earth has paid a hefty fee. Then, it always comes back to the master of magnetism. Psylocke wanted to believe in his crusade, that his ruthlessness is justified, that he wouldn't endanger another species just to save his own. But it was all a lie. Magneto orchestrated a plan to kill the Inhumans in order to save his own people. That, along with a secret team of Mystique and Phantom X, and not to mention his alliance with the Hellfire Club, Psylocke has had enough. She sees clearly now. She is who she is, and he will always be Eric Lanchier. She now knows that the world is better off without Magneto in it. The Savage Lands. Psylocke promised that she would kill Magneto if he ever strays from the righteous path. She came to make good on her promise. After escaping an explosion trap set by Eric, she calls forth a T-Rex to attack her former partner. He defends with his magnetic shield. Once Psylocke's hold over the dinosaur ends, it escapes back into the forest, leaving no trace of Psylocke's whereabouts. This is where it ends. This was what was meant to happen. The moment Magneto recruited Psylocke, he knew that this day would come. Psylocke emerges from the waterfall to give Magneto a battle to the death. As she ruthlessly attacks her target, Psylocke scolds the old fool. He was never an X-Man. His team is broken. Sabretooth and Monet are gone. Zorn has entered seclusion after the incident on New Adelan. Mystique's mind is fixed, so now she knows that working with Magneto is bad for business. And Phantom X? Well, he went back to his world and he has not yet emerged. You are a poison, says Betsy. You turn everything you touch to ashes. She swings and stabs, but Magneto scoffs at her efforts. She is using a sword to attack the master of magnetism. He disarms her sword, breaking it into bits. that was an opening she needed. His overconfidence is his downfall. Psylocke created a psychic sword, concealed it, and used it when the timing was right. Eric falls to his knees. It isn't metal, but it feels cold like steel. The end is near. The void calls to Eric. His body falls to the floor, once full of life, now dead. Blood slowly pours out onto the river, turning it crimson red. Psylocke's work is done. She killed the last person on her hit list. Moments after Psylocke's departure, Exodus, along with a resurrected Elixir, arrives. Magneto's time hasn't come yet. With the awesome healing powers of Elixir, Eric grasps for air once more. Blood pumps back into his veins. He is alive once again. Whatever debt Elixir owes to Magneto, it is now paid. Exodus offers that he comes with them, but Eric refuses. His work is not yet done, but it will be. Alrighty guys, so what do you think about us taking an entire volume, compressing it down to as much as we can, and throwing it all right back at you? Please let me know in the comments below, and of course, let me know what kind of volumes you want us to discuss, and any topics at all on Comic Island. Help this channel grow, and that's everything. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time in another Comic Island video.